from one informal settlement to another. This time around, it is in KZN. Nearly 200 structures at the Quarry Road Informal Settlement. This is in Durban. It comes a week after at least 200 families were left homeless after a fire razed to the ground the Clairwood Informal Settlement, also in Durban. Newzroom Afrika's Karinda Jagmohan is following this particular story, and she joins us live now. Karinda, good morning to you. The background to you tells the story. How many families roughly have been affected by this incident?
Certainly, Oli, at least 300 families have been affected. My colleague Lungelo Zungu will just show you as the residents rebuild. It's a very hot day. The fire yesterday, the blaze ripped through this area, tearing down at least almost 200 structures. So you can see people are trying to rebuild, dig through whatever they can to get building material. And as you look at this destruction, I'll speak to Mr. Zikode, the president of Abahlali Basemjolo. Sir, our viewers are watching right now this destruction. Tell me about especially the pain of residents who already have to live in these dire living conditions.
Yeah, well, as Abahlali Basemjolo Movement of South Africa, we are very concerned about this ongoing devastation of shack fires, if not shack fires, it's floods. This community in particular has been through a lot. People are going through a lot of trauma. They were just surviving, recovering from the recent floods. Now again it's shack fires. This is very devastating. It is unfair. It is unacceptable because shack fires of this nature are avoidable. There are ways in which these shack fires could have been avoided. I mean, if the government, particularly the Department of Human Settlement, was doing their job, we're really passionate about the people of South Africa, particularly the poor and the vulnerable. We have been calling for the rapid release of land for a very long time. Last year, we have been promised that by the previous MEC for Human Settlement that they have released at least 13 parcels of land for the people who were affected by floods, but for people who are living in such floodplain who may experience similar devastations once again. So these 13 pieces of land that we've been promised, and when we ask for it, suddenly we are told that the repairs are refusing to release those lands. But we have not been shown. I doubt that at this point in time the government can still lie to people and promise them 13 pieces of land, but fail to even show one piece of land where we could possibly relocate such residents who are becoming victims, daily victims of a deliberate neglect by their government.
Mr. Zikode, thank you so much for your time and for speaking to us. Mr. Zikode, of course, is the president of Abahlali Basemjolo, which represents many residents who live in informal settlements. My colleague Lungelo Zungu and I will actually just take you around now because I want to show you the devastation here. It is a really heartbreaking circumstance, and you know that it's not the first time that this community has been affected by disaster. Oli, as we just walk around this community, you can see that we were here in April 2022, where on the other side of this informal settlement, the entire area caved in because of the flooding that occurred, and we understand that 2 people died. Fortunately, there were no casualties here today. People have been hurt, but they are recovering, and right now they're just trying to rebuild or pick up the pieces of their lives, and you just look here. So I'm going to hop across to speak to the ward councillor at this point as Lungelo shows you the various structures that were burnt down. And we understand again more than 150 structures burnt down here yesterday, and remember just nearby the Kennedy Road Informal Settlement burnt as well, and very recently we saw the Clairwood fire. Councillor Mkhize, we are live on Newzroom Afrika, sir. If I can just quickly please grab you. Thank you, ma'am. Can you just grab the fire that occurred here yesterday and the flames that we saw, especially the ones on the side of the road?
What happened is that into ezekile ilokho ukuthi umlilo uqale lana waya ushona le and kuthe ma wenzeka umlilo ngenhlanhla abekho abantu ebebelele ngaloso sikhathi, and lo mlilo ubumkhulu kakhulu, ubungomunye umlilo emkhulu kule ndawo yami so far kulonyaka. Ngingazi umlilo mhlambe I believe mhlambe I think is umlilo ka4 kulonyaka ewadini. Yes, so umlilo ongijabulisayo is that akho umuntu olimele, akho umuntu oshonile. Ilokho ongijabulisayo the most, so at least ilokho ongijabulisayo.
This is not the first disaster we saw here. The floods happened last year as well. What are the struggles of residents just as they live here on a daily basis?
Ama-floods enzekile la. Kwakhona abantu abasweleka emhlabeni. Kwaphinda kwakhona umlilo after ama-floods. Khona kuleli side elingala. Kwaphinda kwakhona umlilo ngaphesheya. And ukuphila kwala akusekho kuhle. Mina ngingacela nje ukuthi mhlawumbe i-government ezibebona ngiyacela ukuthi mhlambe labantu because babathathe babasuse la bahambe bazama ukubakhela abantu. Ilonto engihlezi ngirequest ake kwi-government ebusayo ukuthi abayibhekelele into enjengale, because each and every time kuyasha bahambe kothenga imaterial ngemali enkulu. So ngeminute ukuthi akanje kozanye umhlaba kwakhelwa abantu, that one will save nganakwethu. And kule ndawo ke futhi niyayibona indawo embi nje ngoba inanemhosha. I don't think ukuthi kungakhiwa nokwakhiwa la. Indawo ufuna ukuthi basuswe abantu la bese iyathatha iyabiyelwa noma kwenziwe okunye. Ilokho nje ngenza kwethu.
The Councillor Temba Mkize just speaking there. Take a walk a bit early. I just want to show you this area. We have just also come out of a briefing with the KZN Human Settlements MEC, Mr. Sipho Nkosi. He was just speaking right here as people are rebuilding, and in the distance you see as well names being taken down of the affected residents. And so when he briefed the media, he said that, well, the biggest challenge, he said, was with regards to the close proximity of the informal structures. But we asked him, well, isn't the biggest challenge then access to land here right now? And he said, well, if there is a difficulty in accessing land to build areas that in some cases the pricing of land is unfair. There are unfair prices with regards to acquiring government land to build subsidized housing. But ultimately, the big issue right now is for these residents who mostly are unemployed. They live in conditions of poverty, as you can imagine what the settlement looked like before this fire. And so their struggle is just to even live from day to day, to be able to afford groceries, school uniforms, to afford transport if they do manage to get, even if it's a piece job. And so what happens is when a fire like this rips through the community, they have to start all over again, and that's their challenge. And so many of them say that at least access to subsidized housing, because of the state of unemployment in the country, would at least assist them with regards to being able to live in proper conditions. Some of the children, I mean, are drinking water from this pipe that you see here, this leaking pipe right now. I'm not sure exactly where that water is coming from, but that's just one of the points where people are just trying to cool down amid this very hot day when dozens of residents are trying to rebuild. The conditions are terrible. Even just now, there was a massive tree that fell down. The base of the tree was burnt, and so it fell. We don't think anybody was hurt, or there were no reports of any casualties there, but it's even dangerous for people as they rebuild, with nails strewn on the ground, pieces of tile, glass, the tin structures or the metal structures you're seeing. So all of this is happening again in a very hot day, and with yet another fire occurring in eThekwini, and of course amid this very much battle to get land for those who struggle to even get a daily piece job.
Karinda, Jagmohan, thank you very much for that comprehensive update about the situation that the people are facing. An appropriate piece of land, it would seem, is what that community is in desperate need of before they can put up any structures, but it would appear that people are rebuilding anyway, and you almost see that just at the top there is a main road, and so what happens if there's an accident and the car falls over? That could trample people down below, and that's exactly where this community, or at least this place where people have set up informal shelters, it's a very dangerous situation.